Welcome to Business Success Tips, where you learn to make more money in less time and have a lot more fun. I'm your host, Paul Sanneman. I'm founder of Contractor Staffing Source. We help contractors build great teams. My guest today is Shawn Van Dyke. We go back a while, don't we, Shawn?
Yes, several years now.
Yeah, and he has a company called Data Mule Agency. So I think all your coaching taught you what your clients weren't doing, and you've come up with a solution. Is that sort of how it worked?
I think that's kind of how we eventually got to what we're focusing on now. So back in 2016, when I started business coaching specifically for contractors, it was great. And then in 2018, wrote and published the book Profit First for Contractors. That had a great runway, still does. But as we got more coaching clients, which was wonderful, we always ran into either I'd say the barrier or the gap in information, meaning, hey, I think here's the strategies or the tactics that you need to do to improve your business. But I'm a data and operations nerd, so we always kind of ran into that gap in operational data to say because the books weren't clean or we couldn't get a clean, reports from a CPA or a bookkeeper or the data just wasn't organized. So we were kind of here's some good coaching tips, tricks, and strategies, but man, I'd really like to see what the actual numbers are. And so I felt like the coaching was more general in nature than specific. And then in the beginning of 2024, I said, "Gosh, I think I could be a better coach if I had access to the data. I should probably just start a bookkeeping agency." And then I told my wife, I said, "But I'm not a bookkeeper." She's like, "Well, you're not a CPA either, but you wrote a financial book for contractors that's done pretty well."
Right.
And I was like, "Oh, yeah, yeah." So I spent the next few months building a bookkeeping team, bringing on client manager, even before our first client, and then yeah, just said, "Hey, we're doing books now." And as we like to call it, it's bookkeeping, but on steroids for contractors. We go a little bit more deeper into the operational data and analytics stuff. But yeah, we started that in beginning of 2024, and yeah, we're really focused on coaching our bookkeeping clients now. I mean, we still have other coaching programs and stuff out there, but it's a lot more fun to coach people when you see all of the back end data. It's a lot simpler.
I feel like you went to, I was a coach for 50 years, or whatever, 7 years ago was I could get people from 1 million to 15, but I couldn't find any employees, right? So I started Contractor Staffing Source to help my coaching clients find employees. Now it's what I do all the time because it's, $7 million company. And it seemed like it was filling more of a niche out there than just coaching. It seemed there was a huge need for a recruiting company that truly understand construction and could make a difference in construction. It seems like you followed the same path,
Yeah,
right?
again, I don't know that I planned on it. I just kind of stumbled into it. We obviously would see a lot of our coaching clients numbers and P&L and the financial statements. And again, I was saying, oh, one of the things that's wrong is how your information here is organized. It might be the numbers might be right, but it's not organized well. And so I was coaching people on how to instruct their CPA or their bookkeeper on how their specific company should at least organize the data. That'll give us a little bit more clarity. And then that almost never happened. And then, yeah, like you said, I was like, well, why don't we just do this
Well,
for them?
I was a parallel because there was no recruiting agency that truly understood contractors and would work for a reasonable
Yeah.
fee. They could actually do we could do the work for them. And so I said, well, I understand contractors really well. I've been doing this. I'll just give them something they need. It seems like you fulfilled the same thing because just like most recruiting companies don't understand contractors, most bookkeepers or CPAs, they have two contractor clients or something, right?
Yeah.
And they don't get the whole, job costing and, you know, what is it, work in progress. They just don't understand all that stuff.
Yeah, and I think we came into the bookkeeping in a really good time because now everything is cloud based and there's again QuickBooks Online is great. Most people say, "Oh, it sucks, I hate it." I'm like, "Oh, that's just because you're trying to get it to do things that you need a project management software or some other, with AI now. We've got other tools that we plug in and even as bookkeepers, I'm like, the last piece of the bookkeeping is actually in QuickBooks. We plug in other tools to do all the heavy lifting so that when the information comes in correctly, it's clean, it's accurate, and it's automated. So I always tell people I want as few clicks as possible to get that thing recorded correctly across project management, like you said, WIP reporting, timesheets, and finally in your accounting software. And
Well,
a lot of bookkeepers I don't, they just either they might know construction, but they don't know all the tools and the different project management platforms that are out there, or they know bookkeeping really well, but they don't know like what happens out in the field in the office, like how does that information flow practically, and so we just kind of find a sweet spot there and try to stay in our lane and say that's the problem that we can solve.
now, obviously, most contractors have organic software development. They may have gone from Buildertrend to JobTread because they like it better, and then they've got QuickBooks. They may have CRM, and a lot of the project management software try to be everything to everybody, and they usually don't do a great job. So, how do you deal with the fact whatever software they have, and there's Buildertrend, JobTread, there's a bunch of them out there, right? Um,
Yeah.
and they all try to integrate with QuickBooks in one way or another. And so, how do you deal with that mirage, or whatever you call it, of all those different softwares?
Well, I always start at the client level and say they're all essentially the same. I mean, obviously, I have ones that I prefer over others, but the preference really comes into more the interface and the workflow. And so I tell our clients like it's my responsibility to understand the workflow and how the information goes back and forth between the platforms. But for the clients, I say you need to pick the one that you like the features the most, because the reason that most contractors that I've found complain about the various job trend, builder trend, co-construction going away, or
Procore.
whatever. There's dozens and dozens of them out there. I always say they all at the database level do the same thing. The reason you don't like it is because you have to change the way you operate in order to use the software. Like for example, like someone will pick one of the platforms because they like the scheduling, the client selection, or whatever. But they're like, I don't like the estimating part of that because
Right.
that's not how we do it. And I'm like, yeah, because the way you're doing it is wrong. It is a software. It has to break things down in a very logical way to communicate across the board. Now, I know that you don't like the way it spits out the estimate, but that's because the way it's doing the estimate is tied to cost codes and other reporting that you have no idea that you could use if you just estimated it and cost coded it this way. So yeah, it may not look pretty, but the way you're producing it on Google Docs and then printing out a PDF and then having to revise that and then losing all of that, yeah, that's fast and easy for you. But I say you need to use these, understand how these platforms work. And again, back to the workflow. So I tell people pick the features that you like, because on the back end, they're all essentially the same rules that apply. Now,
Right.
I personally like ones, and again, this is just in the past several months, is a lot more of them are getting a two-way sync to the accounting program. So usually
Right.
it was like you put something in project management, it pushes it out, and then if there's a change, if you change it in one thing, it doesn't update or it will create a duplicate. That's gotten a lot better. So there's a few that I prefer just because of the workflow, and that's another thing. If there are contractors out there listening saying, "Oh, I hate this platform," or "We're thinking about to going to something else," listen, it's a workflow issue. If you understand the workflow, and this is just nerdy stuff, pick the one that has the most efficient workflow, for how you want to work.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to call you a CFO because you're not, but in a way you are because it's financial management, right? And technically, a CFO is a person in charge of the finances of the company. Most contractors don't have one because
Right.
they can't afford. And so they depend on their accountant who has no clue about construction or not much, or their bookkeeper who doesn't understand workflow, and they get stuck in the middle and they're trying to fly an airplane without the right instruments.
Right.
And
Yeah. People see, because we touch so much of the financial transactions, that are like, oh, you're like a fractional CFO. And I'm like, nope. A CFO is a person, I think, in my definition, a CFO is a person that knows how to make money with the money that's available. And like, I'm pretty good with money, but I say I'm a fractional COO. I'm very much in the operational part, meaning the space between the field and the office. And if I were working at a company, I would be reporting to the type of work that we specialize in. Our reports and data go to the CFO. And when the CFO would say, how can we increase the margins, or, eliminate this waste? That's where we kind of, where we
well,
sit, where we step in.
John, I've been a coach for years. You're only as good as the information you can get, right?
Yeah.
That your decisions are only as good as the information. My experience in coaching, probably yours too, was they don't have the right information. I mean, how many contractors can tell you weekly where they made or lost money on every job and why?
Yeah.
They can't tell you that answer, right?
Not many. Yeah, but what I always tell contractors is, or I'll ask them, hey, especially as we're entering the fourth quarter of the year, I'll say, hey, how did the third quarter? How was your third quarter? Oh, I gotta go find that out, or I gotta go look that up. I'm like, you own the company, you should know that, though,
Right.
at least high level, some actual data about that. And I'm not beating up on anybody. It's just they don't have anybody, as I say, they don't have the systems, the support, or the staff to be able to produce that information. And the gut feeling like, oh, this is a good quarter or a good year or a bad year, is probably accurate, but it's not good enough to say what specific action do we need to take in the next 6 weeks, 8 weeks,
Right.
12 weeks, or whatever.
I mean, as a statement, if you don't know where you're making or losing money, you can't fix it. Is it, your labor's too high, which is generally the problem. Your estimates aren't high enough to cover your labor. All those issues you can't determine unless you actually look at real information and gives you real feedback. And
Yeah.
again, most contractors don't know their numbers. They should know them weekly, at least monthly, and they don't because they don't have someone or some service like you to make it happen. Because their bookkeeper just puts the information in, their tax guy types them at the end of the year how much of taxes they owe, but nobody's helping them on a regular basis to give them the information to make better decisions, which I think is a
Yeah, and
great service.
when we started the bookkeeping services, I don't really know how a lot of other bookkeepers did it, but I know contractors, and I'm like, your bookkeeping needs to be updated, like you said, on a weekly basis. So me and my
Right.
team are in all of our clients' books every single week. So it's not the same, the services that we provide. Again, we're external to someone's company. So we're not doing bookkeeping in real time. But, like, for example, this week, my team is working on our clients' books and transactions and project management stuff and clean it through last week. So we're always a week behind, which is, that's kind of how you run payroll, right? The
Right.
payroll issuing this week is for time spent last week. So we just
Right.
kind of have set our services up to try to do that. And we're in the books every week. And every week there's a little bit of mess to clean up, so that by the end of the month and in the quarter and end of the year, we hope that we alleviate a lot of problems for the CPAs, where we're saying like, yeah, there's still some
So
gaps in
I assume,
information.
Sean, you have a dashboard, right, that they can look at of some kind?
Yeah. Yeah, just
And,
like, I
and
mean, just like a builder would have a client portal or something like that. We put all of our clients on a communication portal. I hate email. It doesn't mean our clients can't email me, but even that email is integrated into our client portal. And as we go through week by week, and we have questions, and things don't match up, and we need statements, and I had somebody last week. I was like, "Hey, I see this $15,000 purchase. We see that, we don't have a receipt. Hey, what is that? Oh yeah, we bought a truck. We traded in the old one." And it's like, okay, you
good to
think you
know.
should let your bookkeeper know, because we got to clean off that one asset. We need the
Uh,
loan documents for the next thing. And it's like, yeah, yeah. Anyway, that all that goes through a client portal. It's got where we assign our clients. We call it a client task. We need this information for you. It also has another portal in there. It almost acts like a text message. There's an app on the phone. So we just kind of live out of that. And some people, I tell them up front, I was like, it might seem overwhelming at first when you get notifications of like, hey,
Mhm.
we need this statement and what's this transaction, and here's, here we're trying to keep things really
Right,
clean. So people are a little bit overwhelmed at first, but we're like, but you realize it's because we're watching this stuff. We're
right.
putting our
You're
eyes
finally
on
paying
every dollar
attention to
in and
what's
out.
important, and now you got to deal with it, right? Because you can't. There's
Yeah.
if again, you can't make decisions without information. So, Shawn, how expensive is this? Can you give some idea so our client, our listeners can some idea what makes sense for them or not?
Yeah, we keep it pretty simple. It's around $2,000 a month for the bookkeeping services. But again, we say it's bookkeeping on steroids. So, I wrote Profit First for contractors. So people say, "Oh, well, are we going to do the Profit First thing?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course. Yeah, we're going to help it. We're going to guide you through that." It also includes all of the coaching programs that we have. So we meet once to twice a week in a group coaching session. And then we're going to meet individually with our clients to do their monthly reviews. Well, and we also have other programs along with the bookkeeping. So we're finding another niche within our niche is like you'd said before. A lot of people have project management software; they're not fully integrated. So we have an integration program that we can kind of tack on to that. So we'll include that depending on, do they have a project management platform that needs to be fully in? And when I say fully integrated, not only the project management platform, but tying into the payroll service and the other
So you're like a sort of like a complete accounting service in a way.
the whole thing. So the monthly services range from 2,000 to 2,500, and then we also have some clients where they have a bookkeeper, they have some staff, but they need someone to drop in and plug everything together. So right now we have a 90-day program. It's $10,000 for that, and we come in and everything from your QuickBooks to your payroll to whatever project management software you're using. And then we also have some softwares that will put into your business. And then after the 3 months, we pay for that. But after the 3 months, if you continue to want to use that platform, then we switch that over to them. That 3 month program is $10,000. So whatever somebody needs, because some people do have a bookkeeper, they're not ready to fire them. They just need more operational systems in place. So that $10,000 90-day program is a pretty good fit for them. And we're on that one, we're meeting with them every couple of weeks and starting at the beginning, like job costing, like cost codes, the nerdy part of that. We go in that and design that for them, obviously with their input. Then we test it, we tweak it, and then hopefully within 90 days or 3 months, we step back and then their team's off and running with it.
So if people want to contact you, Shawn, to find out if this makes sense for them, how do they do that?
Yeah, they can go to our bookkeeping website. It is info.datamule.agency. So Data Mule Agency is the website. They can reach out to me on Instagram at Shawn Van Dyke. That's SHAWN VANDYKE. And they can find information about how to get in contact with me on my website, ShawnVanDyke.com.
Cool. Well, if you don't know how much money you made or lost this week, you should call Shawn and why. Right?
Yeah, and then again, if they go to the datamule.agency website, we got a couple of things there. They can book a meeting with me, and we'll do an operational assessment. But then we've also got some KPI snapshots. It's just a PDF. You can download that, and it gives you 5 high level things that don't require any sort of fancy financial reports to kind of know where you stand.
Yeah.
So people can reach out to us that way as well.
Okay, well, thanks. I really appreciate being here. And I understand how you've evolved. I feel like we're brothers in that because we sort of, we were coaches and then developed something that the clients really need, right?
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yep.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Paul.